Welcome everybody. We're learning tonight the Refuah Shlema for Miriam Chaya Bat Bracha, and also whoever needs B'sach Shar Choyle Yisrael. Today we'll start off. We'll see where we end up. We'll start off speaking about soulmates, marriages, and try to get just a better understanding on these types of topics. There are a few topics that people really like to listen to, and they really like, and it goes really well, like very, very popular. One of the things that are very, very popular is emunah, which is something, it's in tough, which is amazing. I'm not saying anything bad about it, it's amazing. Another thing that's very, very popular is marriage subjects. And one of the reasons that it is so popular is because that either people want to get married, or people are married and they're not happily married. So there is some sort of friction going on, and they're attracted to certain things. The same way as why emunah. Emunah, people have hardships in their life, and they're looking for something that's giving them that hope, that light, that little bit of spark to just get them through it. People, I think, for the same reason go into and they look at marriage classes. So one of the topics that I do want to clarify today is soulmates. Soulmates is a very, very big deal. In fact, Hollywood makes billions of dollars just on this fact. Romantic comedies are all about finding the one. And it's funny because these types of movies are all set in a certain way that everything is sunlight. Everything is always sunny. It's nice. They all have tons of money, and they're all looking for that. No problems.
That's not service dating.
That's not. No, of course not.
That's like a dream.
True. And what do you think movies are? Think movies are real life? Movies are a dream.
Movies are supposed to be based somehow on reality.
Most movies why do people watch movies? People watch movies to get out of their own reality into somebody else's reality. You are not only you're escaping it. In fact, this is somebody who they asked me to do this topic once, and I think I do want to do it. B'ezrat Hashem coming up. By the way, this is really, really good because it gives me good things. People send me, can you do this topic? In general, what a movie does is a movie gets you out of reality. When people go and when people watch a movie, what they're doing is they're taking themselves out of their own reality, and what they're doing is they're putting themselves in this other reality that is much better. And one of the reasons that comedy is so popular, and action is so popular, and romance is so popular, is because the girls love the romance. The guys and the girls like the comedy. And how are you? And the guys like the action. And what they're doing is they're being in that sort of in that set. They are there in the movie. They are there. Why do guys like action? This is not a topic. I don't want to go too much into this because I could spend a long time on this topic.
Like action figures?
No, action movies. People like action movies.
Guys like action movies?
Generally speaking, guys like action movies. Guys are like, yes, let's go. We're gonna do some push-ups afterwards, and we're gonna follow, in that footstep, because they get into that thing. Now, I just want to make a disclaimer. I by no mean way or form support any movies. I am completely against movies, TVs, all that thing. I think it's a big waste of time, and I think it's something that brings a person down tremendously. I'm not even talking about the spiritual world. I am talking about in the physical world. You're going in a movie. You're watching whatever scene that you're watching whatever movie you're watching, you get out of that movie, and you come out and you're like, wow, my life sucks. Like, I don't drive a Ferrari, while shooting a gun, at some, flying superhero, while, you have this supermodel, sitting next to you, and there's another supermodel waiting at your house over there, and then you have another car over there with your private jet, and you're like, wow, my life is terrible. And people subconsciously get a little depressed after these movies. They're like, oh, wow, that was a good movie, it's very fun. They're like, yeah, my life sucks. Wow, I'm not James Bond. And it brings a person down. There is no positive thing that comes out of movies. There's not. I have yet to find something positive that comes out from these movies. Even if you watch something that's funny, that's a comedy, so you get into this good mood for a little bit.
What about movies with a positive message, like Liar Liar, for example, right? Like a classic film. The guy is obviously like a big liar, and the entire movie is like how you shouldn't lie.
So you just said the message in a sentence. You don't need to waste 2 hours to get that.
Historical movies that basically show you.
There's some movies.
About it, now you physically can
Right. So there are some
documentaries.
There are some movies that are less problematic than others.
Or educational, like.
Who watches educational movies?
Medical stuff. It's so much easier to watch it than to read it.
That's true. As an educational thing, if you're going to become a doctor and you want to learn how to make this particular surgery, of course you'll watch the videos for it. But I know there's somebody who actually told me once that I don't know what this has to do with soulmates. Sorry guys, but we're already over here, so let's dig in a little bit more. You have these people that they watch. I don't know. This is really interesting because I heard that it exists that you could watch an actual surgery online, like full blown, like everything. There's no like blurry stuff that's going on. Everything. You see how, you know, the heart being moved, the heart I mean. So surprisingly, many. You can watch a birth also. I don't know who would be sign off that waiver to you know, to allow that. But anyways, let's move back to, we're digressing off this, you know, the movie topic. We should really go on and speak a little bit about soulmates, the topic at hand. But B'ezrat Hashem, that's something that I do want to go into at one point in time, is this this idea about movies and TVs and how it's a waste of time, how it's terrible, how it destroys you spiritually and physically. The reason why I bring this up in regards to when we speak about movies is because when people see in a movie this love infatuation relationship, then what you're doing is you're saying, I want that. And if I can't have anything but that, then I am selling myself short, which is a big problem. Because if you're living up to the movies, and if you're living up to what you see in the videos, you're out on a, let's make this a little more realistic. You're out on a date, and you just watched, you know, wasted your life, and you watched a movie about somebody is going and he buys this woman 1,000 roses, you know, on the second date, and you got a date with a guy, and everything's sparks and flying, and you're expecting those 1,000 roses, and be like, if not 1,000, at least 500, you know, rose petals. You know, I'll settle for that. And when he falls short from that, anyways, the idea is that when people are looking for their soulmates, they think Hollywood. And there is a big problem when you think of soulmates and you think of Hollywood, because you're thinking of fairy tale. Hollywood doesn't exist the way you think it exists. It's a very, very dirty place compared to what you know, it seems as in all the magazines and the, you know, publications. So the idea of soulmates, what is the idea of soulmates in the Jewish thought? First of all, is there such a thing as soulmates? Maybe there is such a thing. Maybe it's a made-up Hollywood thing. Does soulmates exist?
Gemara says 40 days.
Oh, of course, you jumping the gun, of course. Hey, spoiler alert. So,
you ruined it, man.
but it's good, Baruch Hashem. So the idea is like this. The idea is that if there does exist such a soulmate, this actually comes into practical applications in how we live our life, because there are people that are constantly searching for their one. The problem is that not only people are constantly searching for the one, even the people that are married already are still searching for the one, because they don't feel like they married the one. So people are constantly searching for the one. And I want to share with you this crazy statistics, not a Jewish statistics by any means, way, or form, but a statistics nonetheless. There was a study done, and let me ask like this: what percent do you think of this study do people think that they found the right one? Out of like we were talking about, out of 100%, what percent of people do you think
20%
found the right? 20%? We got anything else?
35%.
The question is, how many people feel that they got the right one?
How many people feel that they have found the right one? They're married?
10%.
No, 35%.
20.
All right. So none of you have high expectations at all for like this, what's going on. So
I said 35%.
yeah, you're the most. The actual answer is 17%.
Look, I was the closest.
73% of people in this study said that they're married, but they don't think they found the right one. 70. Does that? That's a, you know, a woman can try to work that, men it's the other way around. But do you understand how crazy that is? That means that of every 100 people, 73 of them that are married think that they messed up. They didn't get the right one. Let's try to wrap our heads a little bit around this to show you how serious this situation is. That means, and by the way, this statistics is not a Jewish statistics. This statistics is a secular statistic. If I'm telling you that 73% of people are not happily married, and in fact, let me ask you like this: some people are married and they sort of feel like they're stuck in the marriage. They got a kid already, they got this, and they're like, you know what? I'm here already. Whatever, life is short. You know, let's just deal with it. How many people do you think, in the same statistics, would say that if the right one approaches them and comes to them, would they leave their spouse for the right one?
20%.
No. I don't want to believe it.
It's like 30%.
46% of people in this statistics said that they would leave their spouse if they found the right one. So this brings us into a serious. First of all, it's a very big question of why people get married. How do they know that they have more bitches?
You really do it is the question.
We could
say you will.
We can only say whatever. We can only bring down whatever they do. You know, we can't read into their minds. But this brings down into an important point. If somebody is going to get married, in the non-Jewish world, it makes absolutely zero sense to get married. With this statistics, why get married? Why? So you could have a wedding day. So you could have, you could wear a white dress. So you could have a best man and you could have a bachelor party. What is the purpose?
Worth
Well,
the
go look
try.
at Manhattan, and half of the girls are single.
It's better to try.
It's yeah, maybe, but at what expense? Is it worth it to sacrifice a divorce and all this? Why not? By the way, halachically, let's speak a little bit. A non-Jew, are they required to get married?
No.
Jew?
Non-Jew is not halachically, in the halachic sense, they're not required to get married.
Not sure if I'm missing.
No, they don't need to get married. They don't, they're, if they want to be together with somebody, boyfriend or girlfriend, 100% fine. By the way, let me clarify, that's for non-Jews. Different story with Jews.
The Muslims also have a mitzvah of Peru.
The Muslim have a mitzvah also to destroy Jewish lives. I mean, you can't bring points from that. I mean,
No, I'm saying it's every religion has their.
Christianity has, a lot of stuff also. If you look at Christianity, though, it's interesting because the priests and the nuns and all the holy people they are celibate.
Rabbi.
What? They're really? You think? If I would be careful, I would not be speaking on many topics that I speak about. But the idea is, if the Torah says that you have to, it is what it is. But you look at the Christian world. The idea is this topic that I'm speaking about tomorrow, Meretz Hashem, is what does the Christian world say? If it feels good, stop it. There's something wrong. You're not allowed to do it. What are you doing? And the Jewish world is not like that. We encourage this idea of enjoying life, having pleasure, getting married. There's no rabbi that says no. I'm going to go. I'm not going to marry. I'm not going to find my soulmate. I'm going to stay single so I can learn all day. You're not allowed to do that. You have to get married. You have to not only have to get married. A man has an obligation of pruruvu. So now we have to figure out.
Rabbi, it's the man's obligation, not the woman's.
Yes, correct. A woman does not have an obligation to have children. Emotionally, she makes herself have an obligation, but halachically she doesn't need to. A man has the obligation to have children. So the idea is like this. We have to figure out what is going on in this world, because in the day that we live in, there's something going on. Marriages are not working out, unfortunately, even in the Jewish world, even in the religious world, even in the actual religious world where people are learning Torah and people are following the mitzvos. There's still a very, very big problem in the marriage world. Not as big as a problem as in the secular world, but it's definitely climbing up the statistics over there. So we have to think about it. What are we doing wrong? Are we maybe finding the wrong soulmate? Is it possible to actually marry your wrong soulmate? Is it possible that you're marrying somebody else's soulmate? Is it possible that you will lose your soulmate to somebody else? See, these are all important things that we need to discuss and see if we could go and gain some clarity on this, B'ezrat Hashem. So there is interesting points in the Gemara, and it appears that it's quite a contradiction if you look at it. There is a Gemara that says in Sotah 2a that says a very, very famous Gemara that says 40 days before a person is conceived, this future match says you are going to marry this person. So which means is before you came into this world, every single person, before you came into this world, 40 days before you were conceived, there was already a match made to be like, okay, you're going to marry this person. And so from this idea, we see that there was this soulmate idea was already predestined even before you even came to this world. So now there is another Gemara in Moed Katan that says that another person is able to pray and steal your soulmate. Which means is if somebody is able to go and daven and pray and pray and pray, I want to marry this girl Rachel, I want to marry this girl Rachel, I want to marry this girl Rachel, and guess what? God listens to prayers. Surprise, surprise. A third source is also in the Gemara in Sotah that says that a person gets mezavgim lo zivu kifi ma'asav, which means is they make him a soulmate according to their deeds. So we have here three somewhat conflicting information that I just presented to you. Number one, your soulmate is predestined before you came to this world, which means you do have a soulmate. Number two is that you have a soulmate, but somebody else is able to take it away from you with prayer, which again, very contradicting. Number three is that it depends according to your deeds, which is also contradicting. Why? Because that means that you have to earn it. If you have to earn it, then is it really yours? Then why do you have to earn it? It should come to you automatically. So these are ideas that we have to try to clarify and try to figure out what is going on. Let's go back to the story of Adam HaRishon. Adam HaRishon, right? Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve were originally created as one. What people don't really know there's an opinion that says they were literally, one was, in front and Eve was in the back. They were literally attached. Not just, attached in the emotional sense, and they're so connected. They were physically connected. They were actually one, and God split them and made them into two. Which means the idea is that you are one being. You and your soulmate. Again, if we're saying it exists, and we're obviously bringing some proofs over here and points, so there is a very strong idea in it. You are one, and what happens is, when you're in heaven, you are connected as one. When you come to this world, you're separated as two. When you actually get married, you reconnect as one. Now, the problem that people have with this is that people right away assume that they're going to find the right one, and they're just going to know. And everything's going to go amazing, just like the movies. They're going to hold hands, and they're going to twirl in the air, and money's going to fall from heaven, and they're going to have children, 2 cats and a dog, and maybe a little child, and they're going to live in this posh, penthouse, and, and everything is in their dreams, I'm sure, to the woman in here, there's like a diary, there's like some sort of books of what's going on, the wedding, they have a little thing planned already. But the idea is that they think everything's going nice and dandy. And what happens is when things hit rough and it gets a little bit rough, they think, all right, I messed up. I got the wrong soulmate. What could I do, God? I'm sorry, I messed it up. And is that possible? Is that possible that you go and you mess it up? So the idea before we answer that question is this Hollywood nonsense of love at first sight. People go and they see somebody in the distance and they say this. It's like I just knew it the first time I saw her. I knew that woman's going to be my wife. Right? I don't know why they're a Southern, but it just so happened the accent that came out. But they go and they assume that that's it. It is this is the one I knew right away. And is that possible? What is love? Love in Hebrew is ahava. Ahava is the source, is have, is to give. When you love, what you love someone, what is the strongest love relationship that is possible in this world? Husband and wife, parent to child, sibling, best friend, child to parent to child. Anybody disagree with that? I don't think anybody. You disagree with that?
Yeah.
What do you think is a greater love than a parent to child?
A rabbi and a Talmud.
Oh my God.
I have a better relationship.
I'm a Jew.
with a rabbi.
You don't have children.
Well, that I'm talking about in the actual physical world and the thing. But yeah, that's an interesting point. I was gonna be like, I thought I was gonna shoot you down, but you actually, that's not bad. Not most cases, I'll tell you that much.
Well, there is a the Rambam says that you should have love of God the way that one pines over the love of
Child.
a woman.
Yeah.
No, a child or woman.
Everything. Well, a child also, because the idea is like this. Why does somebody love? Let's use a simple example. But the truth is, it works just as well with that, rabbi. But let's use the more common example: the love of a parent to a child. When a parent loves a child, what has that child done for the parent? Nothing yet. In fact, it's really lucky that children are cute, because the mortality rate, unfortunately, would have, gone way up. But kids are very cute, and parents love them.
Son knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm definitely not questioning that. The parent loves a child. Have you ever came to a situation where, the parent goes to the child and be like, listen, we've been seeing each other for quite a few months at this point in time. I'm not sleeping anymore. You're just pooping way too much. And it's just, I think we should see other people. I don't think that this is going to work out.
There's a commercial like that
So-
with a dad being like, look, this is
Yeah.
I'm going to take a break.
And then you see a baby on the other side. It doesn't happen, at least in normal sense. Why doesn't it happen? Because you love your child unconditionally. That is love. Love is no matter what that child is going to do, you are going to love it regardless of whatever he or she is going to do to you.
Depends on
The
the
more,
parent.
the more
The
you
real-
love the child, the more you love
Thank
them.
you.
That's how you love them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Which is exactly what I was getting to. Why is that love so strong? Because you are constantly doing for your child. You know what love is? Love is from ahava is give. Is to give. The more you give, the more that you will love. If you see somebody across the street and you're like, oh my God, I love that person. You're obviously not going to tell them that because they think you're psycho, but you'll suppress the craziness until after the ring is on the finger, and then it's like, surprise, yeah. But the idea is, when you're going to this situation, you don't love that person. You don't know that person. You have done nothing for that person. So there's no such thing as love at first sight. That, you know what it means? It's infatuation at first sight. You like the idea of her or him. You like that a situation. This love infatuation situation is when you see somebody else. Granted, yeah, you could see some person and have this spark, this butterflies in your stomach, and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be the one. I just know it. And you're like picturing him already walking down the aisle. You already met his parents. You know who his parents are in your mind already. And everything is like perfect. And then when it actually comes into it, you'll be like, well, this guy's a jerk, and I'm like, oh, forget this guy. And all of a sudden, everything leaves away. So what was that? There's actually interpretation and that we spoke about in the reincarnation class, where you could have had some sort of, connection in the spiritual sense, but it was a connection that was a false connection, which means it's sort of not a real soulmate, but sort of not a false soulmate, but sort of like a detour, sort of like something that it's like not a detour mate, but some sort of like you can get to this, it's like it's real, but it's not real. So you feel something, and then you're like, okay, this is not for me. It's not, even though, like on paper, everything could work on perfect. There's some times that you're dating somebody, and on paper, it's like, this is a match made in heaven. You both like Harry Potter. Oh my gosh, only half the world. So, and then everything else is is perfect. Everything else is working out. Everything else is amazing. And then you meet the person, and you're like, oh my gosh, get me out of this. Get me out of the room over here. And the question is, why? On paper, everything is working. And the answer is, it could be there was something going on in the spiritual world. There was something going on over there, but that wasn't your soulmate. And you're able to, feel that. Unfortunately, sometimes you don't. And it goes a little bit further. Like the story we had before we started, which is unbelievable. But in any case, the idea is that I want to bring out the love at first sight there's no such thing as love at first sight. It's called infatuation. Let's be real. It's called infatuation at first sight. So the question, yeah.
So what is then? Let's say that a person is dating for a while, but then there's that feeling of connection. There's that clicking feeling. There is that feeling where you're like, wow, there's actually something between. Like, you can have all the facts on paper, and people could be great, and you could just not feel a click at all. But then there are people who you just totally do feel. I'm not saying right at the first.
Yeah.
Saying,
I don't think you can put it down to science, because I'll tell you like this. I speak, to a lot of people, and marriage issues is a very big issue. Dating issues is a huge issue. So it's something that I get constantly. And one thing I noticed is, I remember like this. I'll tell you like this. One time I met this guy. He's actually a close student of mine, and he sat in my house for nights after nights while he was dating this girl. Issues at hand. So I looked at him and I asked him. At this point in mind, he wanted to marry her, but there was some issues going on, whatever, other issues. So I told him, I said, how sure are you that she is the one? And he's like, 100%. And I'm like, hey, maybe you don't understand my question. But like how sure are you? And he's like, no, I'm 100% sure this is the one. I'm like, you're 100% sure? Like, you have zero doubt that it's not your one? And he's like, yeah, 100%. I'm like, you don't know how rare that is. You're the only person, one person I spoke to entire this topic said that, when he's getting married, there's no issues, that's the one. And most people, I'm like, first of all, your problems that you have, you're lucky. Those are not the problems. Those are the idea. That's awesome. By the way, I spoke at his Shara, and I told that I mentioned that in the entire. I told his Colin, not fiance anymore, his wife. I said, you don't know what you have over here. He has no doubts. Now, for a guy or for a girl, there are many doubts that come in, even when you're marrying somebody. Just because you have some doubts, or there's the click that I just don't feel it, doesn't necessarily mean that it's not the one. It doesn't. Obviously, you have to put things down in perspective and actually deal it through. It doesn't, because there's no sparks, doesn't mean that you didn't find the right one. It doesn't mean that if you're not in a whole nother in the world, that's it. It's not. I want to feel like I feel when I watch a romantic comedy, because then you won't feel it, and you'll be single, 70, eating popcorn from your sofa off your stomach, still waiting for the guy to come in his walker and be like, hey, the right one is right here. So which is, by the way, which one brings me to another point. Before we answer these three questions that we started off with, let's go a little bit on a more of a deep tour. Let us speak about ways of losing a soulmate. Before we clarify about the soulmate, let's speak about ways that can you lose a soulmate. So there is ways of losing your soulmate. Which number one, let's go in the realistic sense first. First of all, number one is being too picky. Being too picky is a very, very common problem nowadays. Excuse me. One of the reasons is because we live in a world where, and this brings back down to the media again, which is why I started off screaming about the media. It brings people false expectations. And I'll tell you like this. I'll tell you somebody who I spoke to, a year, maybe 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was speaking to some guy, and he came to one of my classes. We were speaking quite some time about this topic. And I asked him, all right, what are you looking for in a girl? And the first thing he's like, Rabbi, she's got to be a 10. He's like, I am not signing for anything else. And I'm like, good to know. So you can be single for a while. Very good. All right. So he gets 10. He gets 10 because he watches movies, goes to, looks through these magazines where you have these women who are not these women because they were photoshopped and everything else airbrushed and who knows what else that they've done. That even there was a thing, and I saw years ago, is where they put celebrities side by side.
Oh yeah.
Not makeup, before Photoshop and after Photoshop. And it's like, at one of them it's like, wow, a 10. At the other one it's like, like careful, they're Tyrannosaurus Rex. And all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this guy is so good at Photoshop. Marry the Photoshop guy because he could do everything, excellent. But people get this false expectations and they're like, no, I want a 10, yeah. And the guy, the girl on the girl side when they're looking for the guy, they also have false expectations. I happen to think in the looks department, the guy takes the cake. They go for such ridiculous stuff that it doesn't exist. And to be honest, that's why they're single on 40.
About the women that don't really look so much for.
They look for other things. They have other things that they're looking. Just because they don't, they would have other picky things. And again, I'm not.
The guy needs to be rich, or.
No, the guy has to be either in Wall Street or something.
No, some of them. Let's just be clear. Not always, because I'm talking about particularly the picky people. I'm not talking about. There are many people that are not picky and they're still not married. It's not. I'm not saying that this is. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. My focus. Yeah, for 100%. I am focusing right now on the picky people. The idea behind this is how do you lose a soulmate? One of the ways that you lose a soulmate is by being picky, which means the soulmate came to you, and you could be like, God, where is my soulmate? And God's like, I send her to you like 4 times, dude. Wake up! And you're like, oh no, I saw the picture. It's not for me.
Sitting next to your soulmate, but because he doesn't look like
what you expected,
what you build in your head,
which
you missed it.
which brings us back to the first point, where the media. You know what the media does to you? The media does, it distorts your vision of what reality is. Corrupts, thank you. Corrupts is a better idea. Which means you're going, and you're in this world that you see supermodels and models that are airbrushed, and then you go out with a nice Beis Yaakov Mädel who she's a great girl, it's neat, everything beautiful, everything is amazing, but you're like, listen, she really doesn't match up to the person I saw last night on the movie. The idea is that it destroys you. It destroys you inside and outside. That's why you gain nothing by going and by watching these movies, except your false expectations rate goes up. And not only does it go up, you destroy the possible chance of actually finding the one that is meant for you. And the problem is also with this is the idea where you have people that have multiple relationships, like real relationships, before they get married. When they have multiple relationships before they get married, and I'm talking about where people go, this is just an idea that we should start from the get-go. If you're not ready to get married, don't date. I've had people, I've asked them, are you ready to get married? And first it starts off, you have maybe a good girl for me. I'm looking for a nice, good girl. I'm like, oh, you ready to get married? He's like, no, not yet, but, if I maybe if I, I'm like, no, I'm not, why would I set you up? It's like, listen, we need to, you gotta get your feet wet, I love this. I say this all the time, and it just, I need to practice, Rabbi. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't need to practice. He's like, come on, you need experience. I'm like, no, you don't want someone. It's like, come on, you need some. You can go in job interview. They tell me you want somebody with experience. I'm like, oh really? Okay. Why don't you marry somebody who's married 4, 5, 6 times? Great experience, plenty of experience under the belt. Yeah, you're interviewing somebody. You want somebody that's been in the job, world for quite some time, maybe different places. Got 4 or 6 times. She must know what she's doing wrong. Yeah, and then he'll have 6. But the idea is, if you're not ready to get married, don't date. You're doing nothing but destroying yourself. Because what happens is you get into these relationships, and you get into the serious relationships, and it breaks off, obviously, because you're not ready. Which is, by the way, it's possible that you found the right one, and you dated her, but you just weren't ready, or you said that you weren't ready, and you lost it. And then what happens is, once you finally, you decide that you're ready, and you're there, you're dating, you're ready, you want to get married, you're 35 already, and you decide, okay, now it's time to settle down. And you're out on a date, and you're like, and it goes well. It goes really nice. It's going well. It's going smooth. And all of a sudden, you're just like, you know what? My first girlfriend. No, she was so much better. I can't. No, not this one. And you start comparing your previous relationships, whether it's girlfriend, boyfriend. It doesn't matter what the situation was. Forget about all the sins that we're talking. We're not even talking about the sins. We're talking about it just in the physical aspect right now. And you start comparing and contrasting. But the problem is, where does the problem lie? you don't remember the negative parts. You don't remember the bad parts when you're reminiscing. You don't remember how much that person irked you and bothered you and called you names and who knows what and abused you. You're just remembering the good part. It'd be like, and you're sitting there in front of another guy or girl you're dating, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, but that first girl I went out with years ago, so much, what a better face, and then you find somebody else, and they're like, wow, that my second girl that I dated, wow, what a much better personality. And then you go to the third and fourth, and you compare and contrast, and you sort of metamorph this like superwoman that doesn't exist, which is all the good qualities of every girl you ever met, and you'd be like, that's the one I want. So now finally, when you're ready to get married, you can't marry her because you have all these skeletons and baggage in your in your back pocket that they're trying to live up to something that doesn't really exist. So you're coming with many different issues from all different sides, which is again another reason why you could lose your soulmate, is because you had too much practice. Stay away. You want one of the reasons, in fact, the Torah says that one of the reasons why you could lose your soulmate is if you are in a relationship and you didn't save your first, like in the man side, if you didn't save your first seed, let's be clean, for the woman, therefore the woman is going to go on for somebody else, in the Kabbalistic sense. So which is a serious thing, which obviously, you have tshuva. Baruch Hashem that there is tshuva that's around, but it's something that people, by the way, don't realize the severity of this. That people think the tshuva on these things are serious. If a person was in a previous relationship and they were intimate or whatever there was, you need to do tshuva on it. People think, okay, I don't do that anymore. Doesn't mean that you did full tshuva. You did part tshuva, which is good. Tshuva works in parts as well. Even there's one thing that's not all for nothing. You could do part tshuva. And for these type of things, you want to walk into a marriage in a clean slate. You want to walk in, everything is clean, the past is the past, I want to focus on the forward, I was stupid, I was young, whatever it is, and now I'm focusing forward. But the idea, in order to do that, besides not doing it anymore, you have to do tshuva on it. You have to go and go through the process, regret it, which regret is a big issue. Remember the vacation in Miami? Oh, yeah, I remember that. I'll be like, that's not tshuva. That's not, there's no regret in that. You have to actually regret it. You have to regret it. Oh my God, I can't believe God said not to do this, and I did this. I'm sulking in sin, and you should want to regret it. You want to get rid of it. When they remind you, be like, no, don't remind me of that. A drug addict, they're gonna go. One of his friends be like, I remember the time we did that heroin in the back alley. Be like, yo, dude, don't remind me about that. That was a previous life. I'm clean now. I don't want to deal with that. That's how it should be when you're hanging out. This is how you did tshuva. You're hanging out with a bunch of guys, and the guys are like, oh, remember that trip to Vegas? And everybody else is like, oh, so awesome, best trip of my life. Meanwhile, I went on like a honeymoon, and he went to all these, like, forget about that. That is the best trip of my life. Yeah, and there's no remorse in that. There's no, you're not regretting anything. If they bring it up, be like, that's a past to me. Had I been back there at this state in my life, I would not do the things that I would have done. You regret it, and you don't want to be back there. That's part one of the tshuva. Part two of tshuva is confessing it to God. God knows what you did. It's not like a secret. I'd be like, hey, God, listen, there's something I need to tell you. I've been on my shoulder for, my chest for quite a while. And he knows the sins that you did. The whole part of the confession is not to tell. It's not like, Father Bob, I've sinned. Don't worry about it. A few Hail Marys, get $50 to the church, you're all okay. You believe in JC? You do? You're good. Don't worry about it.
Could you just repeat the source of soulmates? Did you get to that? Did you ever?
I didn't answer that question yet.
You didn't even answer that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We're getting to that. So, the general source that you look in Gemara and Sotah 2:8. So the idea is that where was I?
JC.
Oh yeah, that when you confess, you're confessing to God for yourself. You're confessing to God. And lastly, one of the most important part of tshuva is obviously not doing it again. You can't be like like every morning you wake up and be like, oh, I'm so sorry I went clubbing last night. It was terrible. It was so bad. And your friend texts you, be like, same place, same time tonight. Yeah, give me a second. I'm so sorry. All right, yeah, I'll be there. It's like, stop doing the sin, obviously. So the problem, of course it's a process, but a process has to be worked on. And you want to clear all the back skeletons that you had in your previous, because when you're going, and this is what I tell people all the time, you're going into a marriage, right? You want to come in with the best luck possible. Am I wrong? Who wants to have bad luck on your thing? This is why I tell people all the time when they get married and they have mixed dancing. I'm like, I speak a lot to the Russian community, and I speak a lot to different organizations. Russians are very, let's finish the sentence. Anybody know what the things are? Russians are very
awesome.
Thank you. Superstitious. Am I wrong?
Yes.
Russians are very superstitious. They are extremely superstitious, and you could even test it, you know, if you want to be fun and weird like me. Someone's coming, you know, you're sitting on the table with a Russian, spill the salt. See what happens, you know?
Cross the black cats.
Yeah. What about put some keys on the table?
No.
Watch their eyes.
No.
Well, they start to sweat. You know, they're like, you know, they're
It's on the
saying,
table, really? That's a thing?
No.
it's not a thing. None of it is a thing.
You ever heard of
Yeah.
apples on Friday night on
I don't know, I have
the
hung out with
table?
Russians. I think.
No.
They drilled that in my brain.
Oh, you?
Yeah.
I got to put my.
So there's a few things, you know. You want to see something funny? You want to?
Don't cross, you're not gonna grow. Don't
No,
cross.
yeah, that also.
I know the
Get a black cat. Black cat, back cat. Oh, there we go. Who's sweating over here? We got the keys on the table.
I should have the bad luck, right?
No, don't worry about it. It's old nonsense.
No, I know.
So the idea is like this. The idea is that they're so particular in bad luck. They go crazy. They go crazy. You want a good Kodak experience? Oh, it's not Kodak anymore. I don't know what it is now.
Polaroid.
A good YouTube. A good iPhone, whatever it is. Put a black cat in front of a few Russians. Watch them. It's like Super Bowl.
I disagree with that. I have a black cat. I don't believe it.
You're an exception.
I used
You're an
to do that
exception.
all the time.
Yeah, you should see. You know, I've had people come to me. I don't know what to do.
What, they can't wear black cats?
No, they can't cross. They hold like this. If a black cat crosses their path, it's very bad luck. So they cannot cross the path.
Break a mirror.
Break a mirror is another whole nonsense. Yeah, break a mirror.
Yeah, but breaking the glass is something good.
Everyone.
That it's only because we do it in the chuppah, but there's no actual. It's not like a.
If you forget something in your house, then it's like bad luck to come
So
back
come
for
back.
it.
Right, you have to do something else. No.
Yeah, it's like look in the mirror or something.
I
My
did it
Russian
with a
friends
girl
that
one time
don't
and
take
she,
the
like, dropped
garbage
the
out
glass.
at night.
Oh really?
Do they only,
Don't whistle in the house. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on.
Russians only believe in bad superstitions?
Yeah, I haven't heard a good superstition. You know what? It's funny. You want to hear a good superstition? Let me tell you how far superstition goes. I believe it's an Italian, or maybe a Sicilian, which is Italian, a superstition. When they move into a new house, and I may be wrong in this, I remember reading this vaguely, what they'll do is that the households of the house will urinate in a bucket.
God.
We're not finished yet. Yeah, the superstitious type, and then they will sprinkle the urine around the apartment to get rid of the bad spirits. Whatever it is, you know, it's you know, it shouldn't surprise you. Yeah.
Maybe that's what we
No, this is like reality. I remember reading No, it's outside. It's outside. No, you know, like a dog. You know, they mark their territory. I think that's what
They put urine outside their door?
they put the urine all around. No, it's all around. It's all around. Listen. Who's gonna rob a house that smells of urine? They're like, nah, come on. So the idea is that why do I bring this? I'm not nothing against Russians and their superstition unless it goes against the Torah. And by the way, everything that I mentioned so far, there is absolutely no source in the Torah. You want to skip over a black cat back and forth? By all means, put keys on the table. I've yet seen a source for it. There's one source that I did see regarding spilling salt, which is from this Gorsky. There's a Gorsky rabbi that put a sefer, and he put actually something to do with actually spilling the salt. But that's as far as I actually seen a source. I don't remember. I saw it a while ago of you know that.
What was the Russian party and the super?
So this is where I'm getting at. Russians, they're very, and again, I'm just saying Russians because they're very superstitious, but this goes for everybody who's superstitious. They're superstitious so much that it bothers them when certain things happen. But they'll go and they'll have a mixed wedding, mixed dancing, non-Jewish music, everything completely 100% non-kosher. And I'm like, and I would, you know, very simply, I'm like, you want bad luck on your wedding? Hey guys, let's picture it this way. All right, I'd like to invite you all into my big day. Please be prepared to sin. Please be prepared to lose your eternity. And we are going to have a great time, on my account. Don't worry about it. It's all on me. Don't worry. All the sins right over here. When they're arranging a mixed dance wedding, you know what's happening? They're getting all the sins that these people are doing. You want bad luck? Go ahead. Have a mixed wedding. Oh, I wonder what's going on, man. You're in the worst luck. Forget about the keys. Forget about everything else. Mixed dancing.
Oh, right.
Mixed seating is not preferred, but it's not as bad as mixed dancing. Mixed dancing is 100% no. There is no rabbi who is a real rabbi, I'm not talking about Reform, Conservative, or anything else in between of that will say it's okay to have mixed dancing. Getting into the marriage, all on a bad foot. You want to get into marriage on a good foot, you want to come as the most pure as you can be, and you're like, God, listen, we need our help. Look at the divorce rate. it's supernatural if we're making it. So please, let's do this together. So the idea is that is one way.
Yeah, mixed dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could do.
Saw you bite your lip.
By the way, what happens? This is a good point. What happens if, let's say, you were secular and then you became religious afterwards and you were married? Had you known the severity of it, you would never have done it. What do you do now? Is it doomed? Is it that? And absolutely not. You do whatever you can do. You could do tshuva. But what you could do is you could help other people prevent them from doing the same sin. So one of the very important way of tshuva is, let's say somebody's coming and they're getting married. You try to convince them not to do the same sin that you fell in. So let's say it was a situation where it was a mixed dancing. It'd be like, listen, it's not worth it. Trust us. We did it. Whatever it is, you're preventing people from falling in the same sin. It's a very big tikkun for yourself as well. I got invited to a wedding. I kid you not. And he comes over to me and he's like. Rabbi, I would like you to come to my wedding. I'm like, okay, I'll see if I'm, it depends on the date, the time, if I'm around, by all means. And he's like, don't worry, there's going to be kosher food in there. I'm like, what? And I was like, it was back a while ago. I'm like, what does that mean? Of course it's going to be kosher food. I couldn't understand it. And then he's like, no, there's going to be a kosher table. I'm like, what about the other tables? What's going to be on those tables? And he's like, I didn't understand. I didn't understand. It didn't make sense to me. I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. Like, there's only one one table for food. So no, he's like, and then he tells me that no, there's gonna be non-kosher food. I'm like, are you an idiot? I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And then I went on a whole shebang about mixed dancing. What do you gain by having somebody eat shrimp? What? You gain absolutely nothing except a deeper hole in your pocket because it's expensive. But you gain absolutely nothing from the wedding. You're not going to come and be like, that was good shrimp last night. Like, yeah, thank you very much. Well, it depends. Right, you're right. If they don't care, there's nothing that we can do. Like this, let me make it on camera. If there is a wedding and it's mixed dancing, non-kosher food, you're not allowed to be there. You leave. You leave the wedding.
Business. So he invites me to his daughter's wedding. I come to the wedding and...
First of all, let's say it's a church wedding, it's a big problem. You're not allowed to go. You're not allowed to go to church. You're not allowed to go.
What if it's a non-Jew?
You're not allowed to go to those weddings. You have to.
What if it's a non-Jew, but they're having it in like a restaurant, not like a...
So it's a different situation, case by case situation.
Church wedding. I'm talking about like a regular hall wedding. But the guy's making a wedding is a guy, obviously.
Yeah, that's what it was. The same thing. It's same idea. It's a case by case situation. And again, you gain absolutely nothing from from going there. Worst case scenario, you can always send a gift, whatever. It's case by case situation. Generally, good to refrain from those.
It's going to happen in a business relationship.
Depends. So that's what I'm saying. It case by case. It really, you have to go to a rabbi. You have to really present the situation.
You'd be like, come on, like I do business with you, and you did.
Yeah, you're right. So it's something that you have to speak to a rabbi, and it's not something that is a one answer for all type of situation. And it really depends. You're going to lose money from it. You're going to lose business deal. It's not in the church. There's a lot of factors that go into play with this.
Two people said. So one person asked, "What about family members?" Somebody still wants to know the source. And
source is sota 2a.
Sota 2a.
What he's asking is for the source of the SoulMate.
For the source, he doesn't know what Sota 2a is.
It's a Talmud. It's a Gemara in Sota 2a. It says that he will. That's where the source where you will have 40 where there is a soulmate. 40 days before a person is born, he will. They're destined to be for whoever they're destined to be. That's easy. It's a Gemara Talmud. I don't know how else to translate it. Oral law, one of the most important works in Judaism.
Huge question/argument.
Okay, so let me finish with this first.
The other thing he said is that someone's worried you're too strict.
All right, let them be worried. No, okay. I like that. And let me answer that. Let me answer like this. I work for no one other than God, and if it says in the Torah, then that's what I'm going to say. If people don't like it, don't invite me again to speak. I'm fine with that. If and I've had this situation, by the way. I'll tell you like this. I spoke at a. Which wedding?
The non-kosher food.
No, I don't go to non-kosher weddings.
No.
Oh, that wedding? No, I didn't go to that wedding. No, absolutely not. I told them I'm not coming.
But
So,
there's food for whoever requests a kosher food.
yeah, whatever. Good for him. I'm not joining that.
But you said you have to leave anyway. If they...
We'll speak about that also. Case-by-case situation. Regarding the strictness of it, there's something very simple. If the Torah says something, it's not strict because that's what it is. You cannot bend the rules. God didn't say this rule applies until it gets hard. And once it gets hard, Don't worry, I'm going to send Reform and Conservative to work it all out because they've got the answer for everything. The rules are the rules, and I'm sorry, really, it is. Some things are really harsh. You know how difficult it is and the second question that you ask is a very difficult question. A family member is having a simcha, and it's going to be mixed dancing. It's going to be mixing. It's a case by case situation, and I can't answer it on this, but it's something that you have to speak about, and there's obviously some things that need to be worked out, but not saying that it's allowed. I'm not saying that it's allowed, but something has to be worked out, and there is always things that work out. Obviously, you don't want to offend anything. But the fact that if I speak too strong, I take that as a compliment. So thank you. Baruch Hashem.
All right, but for sure there could be leniencies applied, but you're giving over the straight. This is straight what it is. Sometimes there are exceptions.
If you realized, I didn't say that if it's, let's say, mixed seating, 100% not allowed. I never said that. I said specifically mixed dancing. Mixed dancing, there's no thing. Mixed seating, it's a different story. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's good, but it's definitely not on the same level as mixed dancing.
Dinner, we sit like
Yeah, which is right, exactly. So you're on the train also, which again, so it's but the idea is
dancing is inappropriate.
Dancing is not inappropriate. First of all, if there's mixed dancing, you're not mixed dancing to you're not mixed dancing, but this is my jam, you're not dancing to that. You're dancing to some rapper, singing about how he raped somebody last night. That's what you're singing about, and how he popped some caps in some other guy. And everyone's like, yeah. And the grandmothers are like, yeah, this is good stuff. What is this?
This is what the young people listen to today.
Yeah. So again, it's not kosher from many aspects. I think I answered that, but there was something else I did want. I'll tell you before I answer your question. I do want to bring up one point. There was once somebody that came over to me, and he said that he's going to a family birthday party, and the birthday party. They switched for him because he just started keeping Shabbat, so they switched to him, very nice, for Motzei Shabbat. Oh my God, that's beautiful. But he said that's not the problem. The problem is that they're going to a club for the birthday party. And it's a family, like a sibling birthday party. So he asked me, am I allowed to go to that birthday party? So I'm like, okay, I understand you're fairly new to the religion. No. What do you think I'm going to say?
No.
They're like, it's okay as long as you don't dance with anybody younger than 30 or 40. 40 is what I'm putting. Well, of course not. You're not allowed to go into a club. There's absolutely no hetel. There's no thing that you're allowed to go clubbing. Clubbing is filled with. I spoke about this. If you heard that class, I spoke about it. Whatever. I spoke about last week sometime. So if people are going and they are, I spoke about this. I don't like repeating things, but I'll repeat it just for the sake since we're on the topic. People tell me that you know why they go clubbing? It's not for the girls, Rabbi. I don't even care. I don't even care. That for the music. And I'm like, first of all, you can't be serious. I'm like, the club music. What is the DJ pad called? The spinny thing, that thing. I don't know what it's called. I feel like a dumb person trying to explain, an airplane. The part that goes, like how do you, whatever it is, the part that you move it. Nobody knows. The spin table. The spin table, the mixer. You know what the mixer is? You know what? It's like somebody's listening to music, good song. But now let's listen to it as if I'm having a seizure while doing it. So you're doing that, and it's like, and you're like, oh my God, what was that? And everyone's like, yeah.
It's super loud.
This is also something new that I'm learning new things. I'm learning about new things.
With the chalkboard.
I don't know even if I should share this. There's something called the beat drops. And it's like, somebody sent me a thing, and I'm like, why are they waiting to jump? And you see a bunch of people like crouching, and it's like da, 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 it's like some nonsense beat, and all of a sudden it's like your eardrums burst, and everyone's like, all right, yeah, and everyone's jumping up and down. You're not going for the music. You're going for the music. The thing is, it's like
usually it's a lot of like people on ecstasy like that.
Yeah, it's there. It's like, and not only that, besides that, they're like, okay. Besides the fact that I'm going to bust your eardrum while here, let me try to blind you while I'm at it. So here's some strobe lights in your face. And then you see somebody be like, is that a monster? Or is that a 10? Or is that a 5? I don't know. I drank too much. Everything's good. Whatever. And no, it's kosher. Come on. We're going for a birthday party. It's nice. Yeah. Let me tell you, hell is very hot also. What?
Someone says if it was up to you, you wouldn't let us leave our houses.
No, listen, you have to live life. Yeah, for the camera, let's answer that question. Because I'm so strict, I'm saying, oh, you can't go anywhere. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to stay home? Absolutely not. You have to live your life the way you're supposed to live your life. But you're not allowed to go to certain places. Do business, by all means, you have to do business. You have to survive. You have to go into certain places that you have to go. But at the same time, there are certain places that you don't need to go.
You can go to a bar. It's not
You don't need to go to a club. There's nothing like that you need to. You're not. In fact, I know somebody who came over to me. He wanted to open. I don't know how he got the clubs, but whatever it is, we're already on it. Might as well dig through. That he wants to open up a club. He's a Jewish guy, young guy, made some money. And he says he wants to open up a club. Club is good money. He was a club promoter at one point in time, Hashem Yishmol, and he was who knows what, and he wants to open up a club. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know why you were telling me this, but that's one of the dumbest things spiritually that you can do. It's like literally, because first of all, when is the club the most packed night? Friday night? Is probably the big night. Saturday night is probably not even as big as Friday night. So let's just repeat that question. The question was, thank you. The question was, how do you know that you found the right one? So we're bringing this midrash. The midrash says like this: there was a wealthy woman, and she came to this rabbi and says, Rabbi, what is God doing now? If He created the world in 6 days, and rested on the seventh, what is He doing since the creation of the world? So the rabbi responded, and the rabbi said, he is mizaveg zivugim. He's making matches. And she's like, he's making matches? Like, that's what he does all day? And he's like, yeah, that's what he does. So she says, I don't see why that's a problem. I have hundreds and hundreds of men slaves, and I have hundreds of women slaves. I could be a matchmaker. So she lines them up, right? She calls a roll call, right? You have men on one side, women on the other side. And she plays, tic-tac-toe. She's like, all right, you for this girl. Go, move, you're married. You for and she matchmakes every single one of them. All of them. And she's like, Mazal Tov, you're married. And the next day, almost every single person came to that person, back to her and says, listen, madame, please, anything but her. Anything but her. And she comes in and she's like, you don't know what you gave me. This guy's crazy. He's crazy. Doesn't listen to me when I speak. Doesn't say anything. Doesn't listen to me. And he's like, she doesn't stop talking. I don't know what to do with it. Every nonstop. And so one after another, they come with black and blue marks. They come with this, and she goes back to the rabbi and she says, you know what? God take his job back. I say I can't deal with it. So the point is that if this is what God does, and if we have emunah, that means if you have faith, that means at this point in time, if you're married and God let it happen at this point, and you're religious and everything is working well, know that you married the right one. Know that you, obviously, why would God let it? As opposed to, let's say somebody is married, a person can't say this married a non-Jew. They're like, well, this happened. Must be that it's the right one. Well, obviously not. As long as, again, it goes according to halacha and everything is good, you ended up over here. Why? There's a reason for it. There are other ways to tell. I usually don't like bringing it up, because the answers are usually more on the negative. But one easy way is, will you marry her again? And if that answer is yes, then you know that you've got the right one. Which means is that which means you're married, let's say, for 10 years.
I'm writing. He said yes.
And he said yes. Again. So the idea is that if, let's say, you would go into you're 10 years in, and you would say, I would still marry that person, then you know that you'd still marry that person. But why this reason is not so good is because there are many times that people get into a situation where they feel like, I wouldn't marry this person again. Doesn't mean that it's the wrong one. This is why I don't like bringing this point up. But at the same point, you have to clarify, why is it, if you don't want to marry that person again, why is it that it's the right one? And the answer goes back to what we went to in the beginning. You get what you need, not what you want. You get what you need to. And God put you, obviously, two together, or whoever is there, both of you together for a certain purpose, because you could accomplish something. And if you could accomplish something, that means you could do it. This is something very important.
Over time, people change.
The idea is like this. People generally think that they'll find somebody.
Never the same exact.
You know why people get divorced? One of the main reasons why people get divorced. I'm not talking about like a crazy situation where there's a cheating or there's something other serious going on. I'm talking about where they're just not happy anymore. And you know what they think? They think, you know what? I could get married to somebody. I could do better. I can marry somebody who I'll be happier with. And what people don't realize, and people get married time and time again, the same person I'm saying, like, 5, 6 times, and then they're like, I don't get it. And the reason is they just don't realize is that the problem is not the other person. The problem is you. You are the one who needs to change. You want to make the marriage happier, you be better. This is the idea that I bring back when my other class I spoke about soulmates. This is also worthy bumper sticker right over here. Don't look for the right one, become the right one. Which means is people are always looking for that perfect guy or girl. People are always worried about finding the perfect one. Don't worry about finding the perfect one. Worry about becoming the perfect one. You'll become who you're supposed to become. You will find the right one. And this is the secret where lies, which we started off with. They give you a soulmate according to your deeds. You will get somebody on your level. This is also another reason that you could lose a soulmate, which means is there is a guy and a girl that are coming into this world. And the guy likes to fool around and have parties and things like that. Meanwhile, the girl's a good girl. She's a good girl. She's a tzaddikat, she goes and she daven, she prays. She's always a good girl. Now her soulmate is out partying all night. God's going to be like, I can't do this. I can't marry these two together. They're two different type of situations over here. He's not up to par. She says, you know what, let me go find her somebody else. And she goes and he finds her somebody else. But then this guy, all of a sudden, 5 years down the line, he decides he wants to get married. And you know what, his marriage is not, you know why? Because you lost it. You had a soulmate, but your soulmate was so much higher than you. You know that you get married according to your deeds. The way that the level that you are is the type of person you're going to get. You want to get a better person, become a better person. Very simple, as simple as that. The more that you become, the more that you grow, the more that you could look forward to actually, getting that. Now, there's something that I want to clarify because I started off with this question and I need to finish it because I don't like leaving open-ended things. Is we said two contradicting statements. Number one is I said that just 40 days before you are born, they tell you who your destined soulmate to be. And another Gemara it says that first of all that somebody else could pray and take it away. But the part that I want to speak about is the Gemara that says that you get a girl according to your level. So now the question is like this. The question that I want to speak about is number 1 and number 3.
When you say level, is that like spiritual?
Spiritual level. If you going and you're getting married according to your deeds, that very much contradicts that you're already supposed to, God already said who you're supposed to marry. And the answer is, the Ben Ish Chai explains like this. It says, the Gemara actually answers it and says, this is talking about a first marriage, which means the first time you get married, 40 days before you get married, it's matched up who you're going to be. The second marriage is depending according to your deeds. Now this, everyone has a very big question. What does that mean? So the first marriage, I'm getting, but the second marriage is when I'm actually, it makes absolutely no sense. The Ben Ish Chai explains as follows, explains in terms of reincarnation. The first time you're in this world, you get married to somebody, whoever you're destined to be. It's easy, it's good the first time you're in this world. The second time you have to come back as a reincarnation, then it depends on your deed. Then it depends on your deed and depends on what you'll get. And the idea is, and this is so important that people don't realize, and they keep on going and they keep on looking for somebody who's perfect when they're nowhere even close to perfect. You want somebody perfect, become perfect yourself. You want somebody who's good, become good. The idea is you're supposed to go into marriage and you're supposed to grow together. You're supposed to build together. You're supposed to get to somewhere together. But if you're both falling and you're both nothing and you're both in a situation of spiritual dirt, then where are you and what type of person are you going to get to? There's a guy who doesn't wake up for Shachrit, doesn't keep Shabbat. What do you think? You think God's going to send him a nice Eishes Chayil who's going to be baking challah, and dressing modestly and a big tzadikah and praying? And no, of course not. She's going to get the same guy as what he's getting. And guess what? That's the secular world. And, spoiler, secular world marriages are not the best. And I'm not saying that the religious one is so much better, but it's definitely better. Yes.
Well, a lot of times I think like when you see a lot of these guys who are going to these bars and doing their thing or whatever it is, they look for a girl who's not like that, a lot of them. They look for the girl, the marriage material, they say. Mm-hmm. So they do look for the Eishes Chayil, so to speak. And I even know people who they run around and their wives have no idea how much of a they were. They don't do anymore, and I believe that they don't anymore.
Yeah,
but the wives finally find out. So what are they going to do?
They don't find out, but hopefully they don't.
And they find out a good wife. You mean
they find a good wife? They say because they know that these girls over here at the bar and the club are those girls, and I'm going to eventually stop. I'm going to sit down and. There is a nobleness to it that I want to be that family man. I want to be that kind of good guy. I want to marry the good girl. They do. I
understand what you're saying,
but then they don't want to play around also.
No, it's not. No, I'll answer that question for you because I know people like that. I know people like that.
Yeah,
That they
what,
they
you're
went
allowed
to.
to go to a club, but you
No,
want
no,
to
no,
go
no,
to
no,
a
no. It's a different situation. What he's saying like this. He's saying is that there are people that used to live a certain life, but they know they don't want a wife like that. They don't want a wife that's partying. They don't want. They're not into that. But they like partying and they like doing that.
Yeah.
But afterwards, when they get started, when they're married, they'll party, but then they'll date. Two different types of girls, but one's for fun and one's for
Yeah.
that. And it looks like they marry a great girl. So I'm on the flip side of those things. Where the people usually come for the issues. So let me explain to you those situations, because I've known people from the get-go that they were like that. Growing up, I knew people that's the way they lived their life. Exactly like you said, they would go and party and have fun, and then they will go and do other things. So let me tell you like this: is first of all, it looks like there's so much that goes behind closed doors that you look at two people, and this also brings down to your question that you, Alex, that you brought down, that you said, like let's say you have somebody who's married and they look like they're happily married. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I get privy to very little of what goes on behind closed doors, and it's not pretty. People look, they're so happy, they're holding hands, like, they're twiddling over there. They're walking down the street, everything's like so amazing. Best hubby in the entire world on Facebook. Oh, he just bought me. What?
Even the happiest relationship is
Yeah, of course, you need to,
it's
but
impossible to be like this all the time.
of course. But there are fights, and you're supposed to grow from the fights. You're supposed to get closer to the fights. And then there is something that is on a completely different level. So I'm not talking about those types. I'm talking about, there are literally people, and this is one of the things that drives me crazy about social media. Don't tell the whole world what your husband bought you for your anniversary. No one cares, first of all. Leave that information for yourself. It's like, and let everybody hear it on social media. Your life is supposed to be private. Stop broadcasting it to all your friends and people that you just befriended, and all of a sudden your friends, you have thousands of friends that all need to see, best hubby in the entire world just bought me this bracelet and snaps 10,000 pictures about it. Oh, best hubby in the entire world took me out to dinner and restaurant and this and that. Nobody needs, first of all, what's this new craziness with taking pictures of food? I don't understand this stuff. I'm like, before you eat, hold on one second.
Now you can have
just
your
like
cake
snap
and
the thing.
eat it too.
And then you post it online. Just went into this, oh, nothing more, just a $250 steak, just another day at Wall Street. They're like, yeah, thank you very much. Why are you broadcasting this to everybody? Why? Why do people need to know this? There's no reason that you have to make, first of all, it makes other people feel bad. Because what's a wife going to be like? Look at, come on, look at this Max. Look at it, look where our friend, look where they go on vacation all the time. And it'll be like, oh, okay, now he has to live up to that. You're destroying marriages. Just leave your life private.
You shouldn't have a Facebook account.
I agree. I agree with you.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Personal, but there's something helpful.
Facebook
So when
is
I
full.
was first becoming religious, the rabbi told me to remove any ex-girlfriends from Facebook. And he said the reason was because potentially one day you're going to post something, they're going to see your post, they're going to be in an argument with their husband, and they're going to regret, and they're going to remember your relationship.
Right.
When you might have acted the exact same way had you married them, but but people act differently when you're in a relationship.
Right, which is very true. By the way, so nobody should have Facebook. But if you do have Facebook, there's no reason why there's a guy that needs to have 700 girls that are on his Facebook page. Like if they met them once, so you have Facebook, I'll hit you up. There's no reason. It's not a kosher situation. You know how many marriages are broke? You know how many divorces happen because of Facebook friends and late night messages and all this crazy stuff? You don't want to know what's the percentage of cases that come for divorce and that. It's ridiculous. And there's a reason why everybody.
A lot of popular guy.
You don't. Why? You need to tell everybody else you're popular?
A lot of from people.
No, because that's how clicks work.
Who needs to be in a clique?
A lot of people,
Donald Trump needs to be in a clique. Billionaires don't need to be. Mark Zuckerberg, does he need to show how many Facebook friends he has? What does he have? Like 80 million followers? He doesn't post it. Hey, guys, I don't know. Does he? I can't imagine him posting pictures.
At least on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook, I have a lot of my business friends are in my.
Business is something else. I'm not talking about business. I'm talking about stam nothingness.
a lot of people
And we're wrapping it up. What?
A lot of people get married. They make
right.
their Facebook one.
Yeah, which is nice. Okay, it's a good idea. Whatever. What even a better idea is take the Facebook and make it one with itself.
I think
and throw it out.
Would be important for this year is to Now you're saying you said you highlighted a lot of the negativity things.
Oh, okay. Because I do have to wrap it up. So let's do.
Wrap up with a positive and how we're going to move forward.
Let's. What's your question? And we'll finish. Because we have to wrap it up. It's getting late.
Possibly you met your soulmate but the wrong time?
Yes. Very good point. So let's wrap it up with on the positive side. Number one, marriage is. People have to understand that marriage is an amazing thing. Marriage is something that is not in this world. And it's something that a person should look forward to. When you go to a guy and you ask him how's married life, it's the most depressing thing that you have ever heard. If the guy is not 100% married, be like, it's tough. It's all right. I mean, it's good, I guess. Days in, days out. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, dude. It's a lot of work. No more parties. There's no more hanging out. Be like, don't speak to that friend about marriage, because marriage is supposed to be amazing. Marriage is something that's supposed to make you grow, and it's supposed to make you feel you're one. By the way, when you're one with somebody, that means that you see the world in a whole different view. Everything is different now. Birds should be always chirping. Everything should be amazing because you're in it together. You're no more alone in the world. And it's something that when you look forward to, when you find that one, it's something that you need to, it doesn't just always come. It's something that needs to be worked on. It's something that needs to be built on. Just because you found your soulmate doesn't mean that automatically everything is going to go amazing. It's work. It is work. It is work. Marriage is work, but it's good work. It's enjoyable work. It's something that you gain from it. It's something that you can grow from it. The purpose of marriage is to grow together and get to another level. You're bringing Jewish life into the world. You're creating a home, and for that, sometimes it's work, but it's worth it at the end of the day if you put the work into it. The most important thing that I could possibly tell you is for everybody who is not married yet, start learning about marriage. Whoever is married already, start learning about marriage also. The idea is you have to learn. This is something that people, you're an investor, you go into business, right? And they're like, the business is very pretty. It would be like, you want a great personality. Be like, yeah, all right, let's make the acquisition, we'll do the merger, everything. No, you study about the business, you learn the business, you figure out the business. One thing people don't know anything about is marriage. They'll like, yeah, we'll wing it. We've been dating for 6 months, never fought once, So how bad could it be? People go into marriage not realizing that it's something that you need to know what you're doing. You have to, and sometimes it's not. You have to learn. You have to learn about it. There's classes about it. You go on Torah anytime. There's so many classes and classes and classes about marriage. There's so many good books about marriage. I'm not talking about men are for Mars and women are for Venus, which I hear it's a good book. But the guy who wrote it is divorced 4 times. So, then again, he probably has a lot of experience, like we said before. So maybe it's a good point. He was divorced quite some time. That's what I heard. I don't know. I may be wrong. That's what I heard. But the idea is, you look at it from the Jewish aspect of it, the Jewish aspect, the pure, spiritual, amazing aspect of it.
I read that book. He said it's all fun and baloney.
Oh yeah, I actually opened it up once, and it was like whatever. I mean, what do you tell me? I don't know.
Interesting to read, I will say.
Yeah, I listen. The title I agree with. Men are and women, completely 2 different worlds.
This guy got divorced 4 times, and he wrote a book about marriage.
Bestseller.
I would think somebody who would be so nitpicky to write a book like that would have problems. He might have truth in what he's saying.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. And again, I'm not sure that he was divorced so many times. That's what I heard. I didn't actually look inside there.
You're doing the Mars thing again.
But the idea is like this. The idea is that soulmates do exist in Judaism. It does exist, and it's real as can be. You are a half a person. You're not complete until you find the right one. And B'ezrat Hashem, may you all find the right one, and may you all grow together with that person, and may you all be able to accomplish your true mission in life. And B'ezrat Hashem, let it come with ease and smooth, and everything should just be amazing. But just know one thing, that just because everything is not clicking, it doesn't mean that it's not the right one. It doesn't mean there's something that there's many things. The most important thing also that I could also share with you is keep your eyes and ears clean, keep your mind clean, and you'll be able to see the right one more clearly, as opposed to just somebody that will just be a flying passerby. The more cleaner you are, the more you watch yourself, the more and this goes for girls and guys also. The more you watch your eyes, the more you watch what you see, what you think about, and you open your eyes for the good, you will be able to. The person will shine right up there. I'll tell you like this. There was a guy he's dating somebody, and he was speaking to me a few months ago already. We were talking about, and the girl that he's dating is not as attractive as he would want to be, but everything else was perfect. Everything else was really good, and I'm like, okay, people ask me how important are looks. I have a whole class dedicated on Torah time just for looks, how important looks are in a marriage. I think that in this day and age, it's extremely important. It's extremely important. But I told him like this. I said, listen, everything's going well. Try this. And when you're dating her again, guard your eyes 100%. Don't look at any other girl. Don't look at anybody else, and then see what changes. See if it does change. See if it doesn't change. Then you'll be able to judge somebody clearly. You want to see somebody. You want to see somebody's true, beauty inside. Stop comparing them to everybody else. And when you're constantly looking at magazines and you're constantly looking at these TVs and movies and things, guess what? You're subconsciously comparing them to everybody else. And we'll review with the fact that if you did mess up in the past, do tshuva. Do tshuva, go in, even if you're married, doesn't matter. Do tshuva, get a clean slate. You don't realize that when you do tshuva, your marriage will become better. Your marriage will become better. Yeah, everything will become amazing. Any questions before we finish? Did we answer all the questions online over there?
Yeah, we said yes. We didn't say.
You asked, can you find the right one earlier, in the wrong time? You could, the one. Let me. This is actually important because how do you pray for the right one? Let's say you're dating some guy or some girl, and you're like, "This is awesome. I want this to be the one." You are not allowed to pray for that person to be the right one. You never pray specific things for that. I want to marry Rachel. I want to marry, Max. You don't pray specific. All you can pray is that if it's the right one, let it come smoothly. Let it come there. You could pray, please Hashem, let me find the right one at the right time. Because if you marry the right one and you pray, you'd be like, God, listen, I'm single. I can't. I want to get married. Just send me the person now. I need it now. Send me the right one now. And if you get married to the right one at the wrong time, not always does it work out so well. Sometimes you could say that, but
Isn't it if you marry the person?
Isn't it the right time?
Now makes them the right one. It makes them the exact one that you need.
It's true.
To help the other person and that person. And if you could say there really was another soulmate, whatever it is, then maybe you didn't. You're not at that level for that, but you're at the level of the person that you exactly need to be with right now.
Right.
And you need to help them, and they need to help you.
Right. So first of all, yeah, what you're saying is true, but at the same point, one of the things that you pray for is you pray to find the right person at the right time. Granted, obviously, if it happened, I'll finish off with this story because my right one called me 2 times already, and I got he's running out, so I gotta.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I do trust the source though that says that there are 7, and there's different kinds of levels. So
let me know if you can find that. Yeah.
Who you marry?
It's the same idea, kifi masav. But the idea is, let me share with you this final little short story. That there was once somebody that was getting married. It was under the chuppah, and the guy was about to put the ring on the girl, and the ring slipped and fell. And, so the guy's like, he's nervous, obviously, he's getting married, so he picks it up, oh, cute, nervous. So he picks it up, he's sitting there again, and he's about to put the ring, and again it falls. Twice it falls. So there's a rabbi there, if I'm not mistaken, it might be Rav Moshe Feinstein, if I'm not mistaken. So he goes over to the rabbi and he says, maybe this is a sign. Come on, twice it slipped down on the floor. So the rabbi says, absolutely not. So he says, how do you explain it? So the rabbi says very simply, says it wasn't his time to get married yet. The time is now when he actually puts it on. Because everything that happens is exactly at the right time with the right person at the right place. And this is what we have to pray for. We pray for finding the right person at the right time in the right place. And if you're married already, you pray that you see that it's the right one. And you can actually visualize and realize that God sent you the one that you're meant to be with, and the one that you have to grow together with, and the one that you have to accomplish so much that you, B'ezras Hashem, will accomplish. Chazak u'baruch. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening.